So the big question I want to raise right at the top, are our politicians living in denial? Gaurav Gogoi, Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha, Congress, GVL Narasimha Rao, National Spokesperson of the BJP joining me. This at a time, remember, when Parliament has not functioned, the session is over, but as GVL Narasimha Rao, the images I'm playing on my screen of a retired army soldier who was crying because he was virtually pushed out of a bank queue, and in the case of a farmer who actually died in Hamirpur waiting for 3 days. These are the images, sir, which surely should have woken up our parliamentarians, should have woken up the government to the reality on the ground, but that didn't happen.
No, Rajdeep, any incidents of this nature certainly, I think, are certainly make us really very worried. But when an elderly man wants a withdrawal, I would have expected the local people to cooperate with him. That is something at a societal level we all need to show that concern and that compassion to the people of that age. But let's not look at only one side of the picture. The kind of the deaths reported are certainly a matter of great and grieving concern. I would certainly accept that. But let's not miss the big picture. Let's not miss the trees for the wood for the trees.
Sir,
let's understand, this is a gigantic exercise, a historic decision.
Sir, even if one person suffers
on a scale like this,
sir, I know it's a gigantic exercise. I don't want to miss the big picture. I'm only telling you of the story of the anonymous faceless Indian. It is my job as a journalist to also point out the darker reality, sir. I cannot gloss over this. I hope you appreciate that.
Rajdeep, I think even a loss of single life is a matter of great concern. If anything is linked to somebody having not been able to withstand attendance in a queue, standing in a queue, certainly it's a matter of great concern. But also let's look at the other picture. Let's see how thousands of people's lives have been saved by simply stopping the money supply to the terrorists, by supplying money supply to the Naxals. So there are a lot of anti-national forces which have taken a big hit out of this. I'm not justifying this at all. This is even a one life lost is a tragedy. It's a human tragedy, and I concede that. Okay. But at the same time, when the government takes a gigantic step of this nature, I think inconvenience is unavoidable, but any death is a matter of great tragedy, and people, it's incumbent upon us as citizens to try and do everything possible to prevent such an occurrence at the field level.
You know, Gaurav Gogoi, the government is saying, look at the big picture. The flashes I'm also giving of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and I'm going to play those images of the Prime Minister at the Parliamentary Party meeting and Rahul Gandhi in Goa. Now here it's a political slugfest. The Prime Minister says all black money is gone. That's what he's saying, focus on the big picture. He's claiming we've cracked down on black money. We are going to put even more steps to control black money, and we are going to move towards a cashless economy. He's saying focus on the big picture. It's the Congress which is focusing on individual stories of hardship and not looking at the big picture.
I mean, I'm sorry, if the life of an Indian citizen is not the big picture for the Prime Minister, I shudder to think what it is. And if we are not doing it if we are not in government to help the poor, to make their lives better, then what are we in government for? I have never seen a government policy due to which so many people have lost their lives.
Mr. Gogoi, there are two sides to the story.
Is it a tragedy?
No, as far as you are concerned, you are unwilling to look at the big picture. Are you saying that this big picture that the government is putting out is completely distorted? You're not willing to accept what the Prime Minister claimed today, that he has actually depleted the cash reserves of corrupt politicians, and those corrupt politicians are the ones who are screaming today.
How so? What? The demonetization has been a failure. Today the poor are not able to withdraw their money, but the rich, those who had black money before, are the same rich people who are getting caught with new currency notes. So what has changed? Prior to November 8, if an IT had done a raid, they would have caught 5 crores, 10 crores in old currency notes. Today, the IT department is doing raids. It's the same people who are getting caught with new currency notes. There are such vast loopholes in the system that the government forgot to look into, that in a matter of 1 month, there's a parallel black market in new currency notes which have already opened up. So the government has failed in all its objectives. It has failed to curb black money. It has failed to curb counterfeit currency. It has failed to stop terrorist activities. I don't know what GVL Narasimha was talking about. Look at the terrorist activities that are taking place in the northeast in Jammu and Kashmir. Those were where terrorist activities were taking place prior to November 8th, and even today they're taking place. So demonetization has been a complete failure.
Can I though ask both of you, and then I will broaden this to Sanjay Hegde and Nikhil De. Can I ask both of you, as MPs in the case of Gaurav Gogoi, as a politician in the case of Narasimha Rao, are you not in some way feeling that the politicians are out of sync with showing even little empathy for people? When people today in freezing winters have to stand in bank queues, when a farmer, as I pointed out, has died in Hamirpur, when there is a situation where a man is pushed out, and retired army soldier is pushed out of a queue. GVL Narasimha Rao, you said that these are inconveniences. Are they inconveniences, sir? Or is this simply with every passing day becoming a case of bad execution and planning? The planning has been missing, the execution has been missing, which is why new rules are coming in every day.
It's a tragedy. It's a farce.
No, Rajdeep, a major decision of this nature, you cannot predict everything up front. I think that's a given. I think people understand that. There is overwhelming support for this move from the government even today, because people understand that despite this inconvenience, short-term inconvenience, this is a gigantic step. This is a monumental attack against corruption and black money. The kind of a conviction which this Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, has shown, no other Prime Minister in this country could ever show such boldness. In fact, he revealed how Indira Gandhi, despite her protestations and claims of a leader, for a pro-poor leader, how she didn't want to attack the black money because she knew that entire politics of the Congress was generated or sustained out of black money. So certainly people can see that difference. People really, when they compare different leaders, when they compare different regimes, they know this Prime Minister is in a completely different class altogether. He is a man who is working for the betterment of the society, country. He is wanting a transition to a digital economy, to a cleaner economy, and he wants to make a clean break.
Sir, no one doubts the intentions. Well-intentioned it may well be, but ultimately it's also about execution. Sir, it's also about execution, and it's also about planning. As you rightly said, even if one Indian suffers hardship, we should feel in some way it should disturb us. It should be disturbing us, and I'm not sure it has disturbed us enough. Sanjay Hegde, it's disturbed the courts enough for the courts from time to time. Today the court has said, where is the 24,000 per week that I am guaranteed as a bank customer? There are bank customers who are going and finding instead of 24,000 they are getting 6,000. Is the court, which once 2 weeks ago said there could be riots, simply just flailing in the dark, or does the court have any real authority now?
See, you must understand that the court has its own limitations. The problem is that there are so many petitions filed all over the country. What the court basically has done today is to consolidate all of them into one forum, give a constitution bench, that's 5 judges, to hear it as soon as possible, and all these questions which have arisen in various petitions, to bring some kind of order into chaos by formulating 9 of them. It is hoped that the court will take a have speedy hearings and proceed to ultimate judgment. The question, however, is that the legal process is not designed to give emergency relief in matters of economic policy, because it's the government which has argued that in matters of economic policy, courts have to maintain a hands-off.
So you accept that there is very limited powers that the court has. This is an executive decision in which can the courts tomorrow ask the government and monitor, for example, whether I get 24,000 from my bank or not in a week?
the court has not passed an order for 24,000. It has expressed a wish that comes true as fast as possible.
Yes.
It has advisedly not passed an order because it was pretty certain that the government cannot fulfill that 24,000 per customer in the foreseeable future. And then I don't want to a million petitions landing up in the Supreme Court saying contempt of court. So therefore the court has done what it can. The court realizes also that this is an issue which affects a lot of people. There are constitutional questions involved. The parameters of judicial review, what can a court do? A court can look into not into the merits of the decision, but whether the process of the decision was correct and whether there is anything which is so blatantly unfair that a court is called upon to intervene.
Okay. Can I though, Nikhil De, say that maybe the hardships are being exaggerated? That maybe these stories that are coming in of a farmer who died because for 3 days he was waiting for his money, didn't get it, eventually got only 6,000 rupees, or the pictures we are showing of the retired army soldier who broke down when he wasn't in the queue. Are we exaggerating these stories? Is the reality that people on the ground are not as upset as maybe some believe in television studios? Okay,
Yeah, Rajdeep, the
can I
situation
just...
on the ground is terrible. It's actually a humongous tragedy with not just individuals and a few people, it's with millions of people. There are people who are lining up, but there are people outside the lines who are not even getting to the lines. Their entire farming has come to a standstill, small businesses, people who deal as street vendors, people who are small shopkeepers, people right across the board are unable to do their normal work, and that's for a whole month has passed. And more of this is carrying on. And we are not saying we cannot simply accept some kind of assertion that we are getting from the government that they have stopped all black money. Where is the black money that has been stopped? And all the black money is in gold and in land. There's very little actually in rupees and in cash.
But
so
Nikhil De, are you saying that this Nikhil De, are you saying that because you work on the ground in farmer communities, are you saying this is a widespread feeling? Because the reports that we get from the ground are mixed. There are people, and to use the old Hindi word, दूसरों के दुख में लोगों को सुख मिलता. There are people who believe that if the rich are being caught, we are ready to suffer. Is that the feeling on the ground?
No, because we are only looking at politicians sitting in Delhi around parliament, but if you go amongst people, they are terribly affected. They keval dukh ki baat nahi hai. It has nothing as they were never asked, they were not consulted, they still don't know. They can't take an assertion. And in any case, we are anti-corruption activists. Why aren't they passing the Lokpal and implementing it? Why aren't they implementing the whistleblower protection law? And you're going to keep having black money coming back into the system through gold, through land deals. That's not stopping. And people are actually not just dying in the queues. Elderly people are unable to go to the bank at all. Elderly meaning pensioners, their 500 rupee pension they can't get access to. It's a massive tragedy.
Can I bring in GVL?
Small proportions, and it's not an individual.
GVL Narasimha Rao, Nikhil De, unlike you or me, works in farmer communities. And this is where I ask the central question. Are our netas out of sync with the reality? Instead of being about Rahul Gandhi versus Narendra Modi, should this not be about more empathy for the people?
Absolutely no.
Each one is chest thumping. Rahul Gandhi is saying how terrible things are without really offering a solution. And Narendra Modi is at the moment saying that he's conquered the world. He's got all the black money back. Where, as you hear from Nikhil De, that may not necessarily be the tale. So really, are our politicians, I come back to it, GVL Narasimha Rao, out of sync with reality? The reality is people are suffering, people are inconvenienced, to use your word, I use the word hardship.
Yes, Rajdeep, let's not forget that activists also can have illusions. I have been in Goa, your own home state. I was there for 4 days. I personally interacted with a large number of small retailers, shopkeepers. I went to Kerala again another 10 days back, and I've been talking to people in Delhi. I have had my teams going to at least 20 districts of Uttar Pradesh and all across rural belts of Uttar Pradesh. The feedback is extremely positive.
Extremely
it's not that some of
positive.
these retailers have not suffered.
So
but even those who have actually taken, you and I
You're
have
saying
not
there is
suffered
no
a
hardship.
loss of 1 rupee.
You
you
seem
and
to be
I-
suggesting
let
there's
me
no
make this
hardship if
point.
I have to travel several
Rajdeep,
kilometers to
you
go
and
to a
I
bank
have
and then be
not
told by the bank manager, I don't have cash, you don't
No,
believe
no,
that.
no,
Those are stray incidents. You're saying those are stray incidents.
I didn't say that at all, Rajdeep. No, you're not listening to me. Don't assume things. I'm saying people at large have been inconvenienced. Most of the people have been inconvenienced, and they're still facing difficulties. I concede that. But even you and I, have you lost 1 rupee because of what has happened in the last 1 month? Your income? No, you and I haven't lost. People who have actually suffered some loss in the last 1 month. I have talked to scores of such people. Even they are saying it's a momentary loss for us. It's a transient loss. But what the Honorable Prime Minister has done will have a lasting impact on the society. This was something that ought to have happened decades ago. Here is a Prime Minister who has taken this bold move. We back him. Even people who have suffered some monetary loss, those transient are backing it to the hilt without gaining 1 rupee. It's only people who are living in illusions would want to really listen to only part of the story.
Okay, we are living in glass houses. Sanjay Hegde, Nikhil Dey, quickly respond to that. You are living in glass houses. Nikhil Dey, you want to respond? That here is GVL Narasimha Rao saying you're wearing your activist hat, not looking at the reality.
On the ground, we live amongst people. We are seeing that this is no question of an illusion. It is never in our lives have we seen this kind, so many people affected so badly, and the poorest are affected the most. We have a questionable policy. We don't know whether that's going to work, but we know people are suffering today. There is no question that the government needs to tell us what is this great advantage, not simply assert it, but show us in figures and facts, and deal with corruption, not just by asserting that, okay, whatever they did with zero planning, with really bad execution, they try and just assert and pull it off. They need to look at the reality.
Okay.
The government does, the politicians do, and they need to stand by people in ameliorating their hardship. The poorest, the oldest, the most infirm are the most troubled by this.
You know, you're saying this because Sanjay Hegde, what is interesting today is the government has now said, the income tax chief, the CBDT chief has said, if you have information about someone's black money, please send it to me on this email account. Now, at one level, it may seem as if this is part of the crackdown. At another level, it can lead to harassment. I mean, surely this is not the way you're going to get black money in this country by telling someone email number de do. It can be used for, it can be totally misused. Is there this fear from a legal perspective that many of these new rules which are being brought in will actually only result in excesses?
You are looking at Tax Inspector Raj. You are looking at Big Brother looking at you all the time. So Big Brother wants you to inform on your neighbor.
The flip side is that black money does exist, and if you have to get it out, let's get it out. Why call it tax terrorism? Why call it tax excesses?
No. Black money exists. Black money may exist even after all this. But the point is that our confidence as people is being destroyed because, as Subramaniam Swamy very correctly once pointed out, money is not important. It's access to money which is important. And that is what has been taken away from all of us. We may have money in our bank accounts, but we just can't access it. So am I rich? Am I poor? I just don't know.
You know, today in Goa, Gaurav Gogoi, Rahul Gandhi says for 1% of the country's super rich, 99% are suffering. Now, surely that also is an exaggeration. It is not as if 99% of India is suffering. There is an India, an aspirational India, which perhaps wants to move towards a cashless economy and should have the right to do so. So my worry is, is every side exaggerating either the pain or the gain? That's the fear. The Congress is exaggerating the pain, the government is exaggerating the gain.
Not at all, Rajdeep. If you see a newspaper or magazine, when you read their stories of the economic impact of industrial clusters, whether it's the weavers in Gujarat, whether it's the tea garden plantation laborers in Assam, all major industrial sectors and clusters, small and micro clusters, have been hit. I have interacted with farmers in my constituency who have said that their incomes at this time of year have taken a dip of 20–30%. People are dying outside of hospitals because they did not have cash to buy
But we don't
medicines
see
or to
widespread public
get their
anger.
patients admitted.
Why don't I then
So
see
we are
widespread public
putting
anger? Am I
to the
living?
BJP a very accurate picture of what the ground is.
But why don't I see, and this is to Nikhil De, why don't I then see
No,
widespread public
Rajdeep,
anger?
You're
If
going
you're
to
saying, no,
see
one minute.
anger.
Nikhil
you know why
De,
you're
if you're
see
saying it's
anger?
so terrible.
Because the poor have been fooled.
Okay, you're saying the poor have been fooled. Nikhil De,
No,
why don't I
Rajdeep,
see
let me complete.
widespread
I'm
public
sorry,
anger?
Rajdeep, let me just complete.
Yeah,
Yeah, just a minute. Let Nikhil speak and then I'll come to you.
Let me
There
complete
is
my
widespread
point. You are
public
going to
anger.
see
You will
anger.
see it bursting forth. Today, the political parties are not listening to people and giving them a platform. That's what politics is about. Give them half a chance to be able to tell their stories, they will. Half of them are in shock. Other half are standing in lines trying to get hold of some money somewhere, trying to make their dhandas and their businesses run a little bit or their work run a little bit. And there is anger, and we will hold some public hearings and we will invite all these politicians to come and listen and watch people just speak on their own on the tragedy that they're going through. Of course, everyone wants to fight black money and fight corruption, but there is no proof of fighting that. And why should innocent people have to suffer? Why should cashless not be at a choice, but be forced down your throat? When you don't have a bank account, you don't know how to use plastic, you don't know, and I don't know what fool's paradise the government is living in. The numbers, the percentages of people who live outside this whole framework of plastic and cashless, and it is in some kind of, it is a completely dictatorial attitude to
Mr.
say
Arun
that
Jaitley
you will
has said
survive.
that more than 60 crores. You're saying that the figures that the government is giving of more than 60 crore Indians today who have access to a cashless economy, have access to plastic, you're saying are exaggerated. You're saying those figures don't match up to the fact that they have
Absolutely.
Aadhaar cards now, they have Jan Dhan Yojana accounts, and you can create this so-called jam trinity that the Prime Minister speaks of. You believe...
The jam trinity is jammed. You can't stand in those lines. You can't access those banks. You don't know how to use the plastic. You've been given a card which you don't know how to use. Many of our own elderly parents and other people are scared of using plastic. These people have no clue. And it is a long time. No one is saying don't have cashless things available, but let that come at its own pace with people with confidence. Don't thrust it down their throat.
Don't thrust it down their throat. Yes, GVL, I'll give you the final word. Is this jam trinity, this talk of a cashless economy at times, out of sync once again with those images I keep playing on my screen?
If you've interrupted me and now you've not got back to me.
Yes, GVL.
No, you see, you see, you see, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji is a man with positive thinking. He is the man who wants to take India to the next level. He wants India to become a less cash economy, where there is going to be less scope for spending cash, less scope for corruption, less scope for generation of black money. And Congress and even activists, I think many of them are not necessarily holy cows. They want India to live in its past. You see, it's Prime Minister who is to be blamed for lack of financial inclusion in rural India. Why did you not raise these issues when the Congress was in power? Why was it that only 59% of the households had access to banking system until the last census 2011? And in a manner of 2 years, Prime Minister has shown what can be delivered. How 25 crore accounts have been opened, how you have direct DBT of tens of thousands of crores of money is being done through DBT. All Narega payments are being given through DBT. I think you want to keep people perennially poor, that activists can have their own contracts, their own doles, and politicians like parties like Congress can have their own path. I think why can't activists also become agents of change?
Activists should become agents of change. The Congress wants to keep the
rather than
country
perpetuate
Come in, or we
poverty,
just
rather
hear
than
this as allegations.
perpetuate illiteracy, why can't you become agents of change?
Agents of change, quick, 30 seconds
Can I
each.
now speak?
We want to become agents of change.
Yes.
So that change is for the positive for people.
Okay,
10 lakh
Mr.
pensioners
Narasimha
have
Rao,
been
let
taken
me
off the
remind
pension
you
list
what
because
former
of this
Prime Minister
Trinity. There are
Vajpayee had
30%
said of
people
the
not
late Prime
getting their
Minister Indira
rations in
Gandhi ji.
Rajasthan because they cannot
Rajdeep,
put
can
their
we
thumb
speak or are we-
impressions on
others
those
are going to
machines.
speak ahead?
This is not something that is just by asserting that this is going to bring positive change, it will bring it. It requires hard work, time and effort, and you cannot do this in this fashion and
But
be
you have to-
dictatorial
you
about
have
it.
to
There
make
will
an
be a
attempt.
reaction, and if you're not willing to
make an
listen, you will
attempt.
face that reaction.
We have ensured financial inclusion was a success. This government
It is
has
not
done
at
that.
all.
This
I
government has
invite you to
ensured
come
that
and
most
see the
households have a
financial
bank
inclusion.
account.
Well, let me leave it there
No,
at the
I
moment.
think you don't become an impediment to change.
Don't
When
become
you
an
call
impediment to
yourself an
change.
activist,
You're
we
saying
can
activists
expect you
make
to
that
become
kind of
positive
assertion.
change agents,
You're
not
saying
to
please
become
come and see
impediments
what
for
it is
change.
you're
That's
doing
what you are
Don't
speaking
peddle
like.
lies.
Okay, Gaurav Gogoi.
Mr.
No,
Rao,
no,
don't
1
peddle
minute.
lies.
No crosstalk.
No,
Gaurav
we-
You're
Gogoi.
peddling
Gaurav
lies.
Gogoi has been
We have
waiting
enough-
15 seconds. You are an impediment to change.
I'm a
GVL, just a
grassroots
minute.
man.
GVL,
I
you
live
made a
in
point.
Delhi. Doesn't mean I have no connect with the grassroots.
Okay, GVL, you made your point.
Mr.
15 seconds,
Rajdeep
Gaurav
Sardesai,
Gogoi. You
I'm
are an
very
impediment to
disappointed in this
change.
show. I don't know how every panelist got 2 terms to speak.
Quickly, 15 seconds, you
This
are
is
an impediment to
the
change.
Prime Minister has made the most arrogant decision of his life. He has, with this demonetization in 1 month, has seen no results. No black money has been stopped. No counterfeit currency has been stopped. No terrorism has been stopped.
Made the
poor
point
are
earlier.
still stuck in bank queues. The former Prime Minister Vajpayee ji had called Indira Gandhi ji a Durga. Now Narendra Modi ji wants to cast
No, you made this point earlier, sir. You made the point. Yes,
broke
10.
Pakistan into West and
Okay,
East,
you made this
and
point
Prime
earlier,
Minister
sir.
Modi
You made,
packed
Gaurav ji,
his
you have
back
made the
on
point
Nagrota,
earlier.
on a small surgical strike.
Okay, you made the point. 15 seconds. 15
There
seconds
is-
to you, Sanjay
Rajdeep,
Hegde.
There is no.
Sanjay Hegde,
I'm
please
telling
switch
you,
off the
in
mic, sir.
6
Sanjay
months-
Hegde, yes.
Demonetization has been bitter medicine. The question is whether this bitter medicine is good for India. If it is not medicinal, all that will remain is the bitterness.
We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. The jury, as I keep repeating, is still out on that. Whether this so-called bitter medicine, the bitterness will stay as activists and the Congress are suggesting, or will it lead to real gain as the BJP is suggesting. But today I have played these images of anonymous, hapless Indians who stand in bank queues, and some of them, as even GVL Narasimha Rao has admitted, are suffering, in his words, inconvenience, in my views, hardship.